everybody, welcome back. It's Paula here with Paula's Imperfect Plans, and we are here for another video. Thank you so much for clicking on it. Really excited to share this one with you. So this is what would typically be a Transfer Tuesday for us, but I'm just really excited and I don't want to wait till Transfer Tuesday, so I thought we would do a Debt-Free Friday and do it that way. So there will be I'm going to share some background information, and I'm going to work really hard on figuring out how to put timestamps in, so if you're not interested in this part, that you don't have to listen to it. But because of simply for transparency's sake, because I do share this stuff all typically, that I'm going to just be entirely open about where this came from. It's not a payday. It's money that was unexpected, I guess. I mean, I was expecting it, but I wasn't originally expecting it. And so I'm going to have a background on where this money came from. So, if you have been following for any length of time for the past, I don't know, all through September and October so far, we have been budgeting money for vehicle expenses that have been going for parts and items needed to get my dad's 1972 Dodge Charger running again. It wasn't a lot of money, but it was a little bit of money every paycheck, whatever. We were just cash flowing it as we went. And, so it's, it's all covered and such. But a few weeks ago now, I had a conversation with my mom who was like, hey, let me know what I owe you for the stuff for the Charger. And I was like, well, okay, I wasn't intending on you paying for that. And so I reiterated my plan, which had been, it's not my car. I wanted to get it running because I wanted to prove that I was right. My dad and brother had been telling me for a lot of years that it would cost more to get it running than it was worth. And I'm like, clearly you don't know how much a 1972 running and in good shape Dodge Charger would be. But also, I didn't think it needed that much work, and they had just never really tried. So, first of all, I wanted to to prove that I was right on some level. I had never ridden in it. It had not been like driving out on the road under its own power in my lifetime, and so I wanted to ride in it. My kids have heard stories about it. They wanted to ride in it. I wanted it running, okay? And so I told my mom that I would put the money in to get it running, for really my own selfish reasons. And then beyond that, it needs some brakes, it needs some exhaust work. It would obviously need insured and, registered if we're going to drive it on the road. And anything above what we needed to put in to get it running was on her. Because, it's her car. But, so she was like, no, it's my car. I'll pay you for what you put into it, which was not what I expected. And when I totaled it up, I was surprised kind of at how much it was. And so it took her a little while to get that money to me, which is also fine because I kept reminding myself, Paula, this isn't something that you were planning on. And so there's actually, you're going to see some of it here in a couple places. But in addition to that, so 110 of it, so the whole amount, some of it came out. Okay, so some of the things were charged to our account at our local parts store, and so I didn't know them at the time that they were spent, right? I get a bill at the end of the month to pay the following month, and so I just wrote the check and it came out of our checking account buffer, and then when she paid me, that amount for that expense just went in to cover what I had written out of our checking account. My son had put some of his birthday money toward it, toward getting tires for it, and I put that money that he gave, that I took from his account, and that I took from his birthday stuff, and I put it back into his high yield savings account. There were two $70-some purchases that I made. One was a giant Planner Kate, not giant, but a Planner Kate sticker order that I paid for, that I cash flowed with this money. And then I ordered online so it's whatever, it's a whole thing, but my kids go to Catholic school, and so for All Saints Day, they're doing a saints parade where they research a saint, and either they make a poster on it or dress up as one, and I got them costumes. Anyway, I cash flowed that expense. But otherwise, so you're going to see in here the amount that went to the Wells Fargo card, some went into our property tax sinking fund, and then I just told you where everything else went. I think one thing got purchased out of the farm account kind of accidentally, and so I reimbursed the farm account. I reimbursed my son's high yield savings account. I reimbursed just what had come out of our checking account buffer, and then I made those 2 purchases. And then everything else you're going to see in here in these amounts. So, So first and foremost, as we're getting into this is our final personal debt, as I have shared, our Wells Fargo card. The background of that, we had a HELOC, home equity line of credit, that we took out in 2017 to build a garage on our property. And since then, it has been like a revolving line of credit. So we would pay it down a little bit, then we finished the inside of the garage, and then we paid it down a little bit, and we did siding and windows on the house, and then we paid it down a little bit, so then it became like a home equity, just kind of a tool to use to do the home equity stuff for our property. And then with the interest hikes, it was no longer a low interest situation, and that was frustrating. And so I started focusing on paying that off. And this year in 2025, after a large income tax refund, I was able to split what was left on the HELOC into 2 0% interest balance transfer cards to avoid paying any interest. The first one was the Citi card. We paid that off, I think, in July, which didn't have to be paid off until March of 26. And this one does not have to be paid off until August of 26. So I was planning probably on June-ish of 26 to have this paid off. Once the Citi card got paid off early, I said, okay, we'll dig into this. Then I was like, well, maybe we can have this done by March. Then it was December. Then it was November. Then it was October 31st is a magic month paycheck. I'm going to pay it off then, and I'll just have to save for my property taxes, because usually I take a big chunk of our extra magic month check to pay towards our property taxes that we cover every 6 months. Now, because she reimbursed me for the expenses for our charger, we were able to, on 10/21, our starting balance was $546.14. We were able to make a payment of $546.14 to bring our balance to $0. $67.53.85 is what we had paid. We added $546.14 for a total of $7,299.99, which is what we started with. I think on the thing I just put $7,300 for ease of math, but guys, it's paid off. We are personal debt free. That doesn't include farm things, so like that's entirely a caveat, but with the payments that we are required to make every 2 weeks when we get paid, we're debt free. No more of that is going to the bank. And I'm so excited. And that means that I get to color in the rest of our exclamation point here. Let's see, what color haven't we done in a while? And that is done, which is really exciting. It feels anticlimactic. I thought I would feel more excited about it, but here we are. Like, I'm just like, okay, on to the next thing. So in all fairness, there was some money left after I covered the things that I talked to you about. $133.74 was what we had left. So our next focus, I have a couple focuses. We do have to fill our property tax bucket for what's due at the end of March. A really big chunk of that is going to come from our paycheck on October 31st, because that is the third paycheck for October. So there are many less fixed expenses, because any fixed monthly expenses are budgeted to come out of the first 2 paychecks in October. So But this is also more because this was our house property taxes, and I mentioned that we bought a farm last year, so this is our first year having to pay farm taxes, and so I paid the first 6 months of farm taxes out of the farm account, but going forward I want to be able to cash flow that with our just regular budget. I want to pay it all together and not put that on the farm. So now the taxes for the to be paid in March for the next 6 months are $17.10, which is more than I could pull from that October 31st payment anyway. So I am gonna pull from that paycheck, but I'm also going to save some additional money to fill this bucket as quickly as possible. This is the next financial goal. I'm going to treat it like I did debt. Stuff has to get paid off. Anyway, so on the 21st, I transferred that money to our high yield savings account into the property taxes bucket. So that means that in that bucket currently toward this goal, we have $133.74 saved. So if I turn us to our tracker here, 133.74, and then we divide that by 17.10, which is what each one of these little spaces is. That is 7.8. So we can color in 7 spaces. So that is how far we are so far in this goal. And then just a little bit of a reiteration now that our debt is paid off. We do have to have this funded in the next couple months. I'm also working on $1,000 in my starter vehicle emergency fund. I'm working on $3,000 in my medical savings. This is a new tracker. You haven't seen this. I've just been transferring the money every time we get paid. I decided to make a visual for it and color in as far as we were, which is, I don't know, like $1,300. I'm also aiming to save $6,000 for our family vacation this summer. And I'm not even thinking about the car loan yet, in all honesty. Or a car, not really a car loan, but to save up for our next car. Anyway, so that is what I have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you each and every one of you for being here, for being a part of this journey, and for cheering me on and just being a part of the motivation to continue doing this. I appreciate it more than I can tell you. I appreciate you all, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everyone.